Maybe you're sitting there staring at your Amazon PPC campaign dashboard right now, wondering where all your money's going, why you're burning cash, what keywords are even working for you, and which ones aren't. See this mess right here? Not only is this kind of structure not intuitive, but it makes it very difficult to understand what's actually happening in your campaigns. Here's the thing that Amazon doesn't want you to know. Their default campaign structure is optimized for their data collection, not your success or your profitability. In this video, I'm going to explain how to set up your Amazon campaigns and get the right structure so that you can set yourself up for success, no matter what kind of campaign you're running. This is especially helpful if you're a beginner. By the end of this video, you'll understand the correct campaign structure that you should be using and the one that we use in every single one of our campaigns that has generated millions of dollars in profitable sales for us and for our clients. So let's dive in. Before we get into any of the specifics, let me just explain why campaign structure is so important and why I'm making an entire video on this topic. At their core, PPC campaigns are made up of keywords, or sometimes called customer search terms. This is a simplified explanation of what's happening, but essentially it works like this. If someone types a search term into the search bar on Amazon, and Amazon thinks that your product is high quality and relevant enough, and you have that search term in your PPC campaigns, then Amazon will display your ad. Let's say someone types purple bath mat into the search bar. You can see here that we now have different sponsored results. So all of these sellers have purple bath mat in their PPC campaigns, and you can see they're all getting displayed with different rankings for this search term. Next, ideally, the customer sees your product, your ad, they click on it and they buy it. Now you might think that purple bath mat is a good search term for your ASIN. They chose yours out of everybody else's. That's good, right? Not so fast. There are some tricky things in here that relate back to campaign structure, I promise. For example, what if someone clicks on your product listing page from your advertisement, but then instead of buying the purple bath mat, they buy the blue one? Now what? Is purple bath mat still a good term for your product? And should you use that search term for the blue one or the purple one? I think you can see it gets confusing pretty quickly. And I think this exact situation right here highlights a very big problem with Amazon's reporting. And here it is. Unless you structure your campaigns using the 3S method that I'm going to explain in just a moment, you cannot map a customer search term to an ASIN. There's nothing in the reporting that shows this. Believe me, I even asked at the last Unboxed conference. I asked Amazon, and no, there is not currently anything in the search term report or any other report that will map this data. Now with AMC, you can do this, but if you're just starting out, that might be a foreign language to you. That's why structuring your campaigns like this is so important. So this method, like I said, allows you to see that data, which search term goes with which ASIN, whether that is a variation of your product. So like we looked at the different color bath mats, or completely separate ASINs. I call this the 3S method. It's a great way to remember it. And the 3 S's are single ASIN, single ad group, single match type. This 3S structure gives you a rule of thumb, like I said, to use in every single one of your campaigns. So let me break down why this works so well, starting with single ASIN. This one is super important because when you have only one ASIN for campaign, now you know that every single search term in there belongs to that ASIN. So the performance for that search term is easily mapped to that ASIN. You can track it super easily. And from there, you're able to know which search terms are actually working for which product. So you can adjust bids, you can adjust budgets, etc. because you have this nice clean data, this nice clean structure. Number 2, single ad group. This also allows you to have nice clean data and prevents you from blending data across multiple ad groups. It's much, much easier to manage when everything is kind of all in one place. So that's why I recommend single ad groups. Finally, number 3, single match types. So what I mean by this is you are separating all of your exact match targets, your exact match keywords into their own exact campaign. All of your keywords using the broad match type have their own broad campaign. And the reason for this is because simply all of those match types have a very, very different use in your campaign strategy. And if you have them all mixed together, it's very difficult to understand what is doing what. Now, yes, this does mean that you are going to have quite a few campaigns for each ASIN. In fact, in our standard campaign setup, we actually have 13 campaigns per ASIN, and each of them has a very specific role and place within our strategy. But because we set them all up this way using this 3S method, we're able to understand the data really well and make really good decisions based on that data. So your campaign structure when you're just starting out might look something like this. So you can see here we have the one ASIN, and each ASIN has multiple campaigns based on the match type. Now, we don't actually use the phrase match type, but regardless, this is an example of what your campaigns might look like. That's it. That's pretty simple, but I've got 2 additional bonus tips for setting up your campaigns that I think can really make or break your experience with Amazon advertising. So the bonus tip number 1 is get a very clear naming convention from the start. If all of your campaigns are named campaign number 1 or the date and then campaign or something like that, it's going to be very difficult to quickly go in and understand what's actually happening. Not only that, but it's going to be even harder to look through the reports that Amazon does give you, like the search term report. So even if you don't use my exact campaign structure, the most important thing to remember is to put that ASIN in the campaign title. So no matter what convention you decide to use, make sure that ASIN gets in there. And I recommend putting it somewhere at the very front or the very end, just because it makes working with formulas in Excel a lot easier. You could simply do equals right or equals left, and you'll be able to pull out that ASIN. And then within your own internal reporting, you'll be able to quickly and easily map all search term performance to that ASIN. That's a really, really good tip that I hope makes sense because, like I said, Amazon does not actually include this data in their reporting by default. If you're just starting out, the naming convention that I would recommend is using the match type in the front and followed by some sort of spacer so it's easy to read. I use this vertical line here. Then a short description of the product because you probably don't have all of your ASINs memorized, and then another spacer, and then the ASIN. This would be a really, really simple way to name your campaigns that would also make it easy for you to break things down in your reporting. Finally, my bonus tip number 2, this can have a huge impact on your numbers. And if you've ever looked at your campaigns and wondered why you were actually spending way more than what you budgeted for a given day, this is probably why. Amazon sets the default budget setting to spend 100% or more of whatever you have allocated for a day. You can change this by simply going over to settings in Campaign Manager and then changing this setting to spend only 25% more of your daily budget or up to 25% more. Of course, this still isn't perfect. And, you probably want to spend the actual budget that you have set, but at least it's not 100% more. Okay, so really quick summary. Remember, the 3S method is single ASIN, single ad group, single match type. And the reason that this is so important, the reason that every single one of your campaigns should have this structure is because 1, it allows you to see which search terms are actually performing for which ASIN. And you can make much better decisions because of that. Number 2, because you have those search terms mapped to the ASIN, you're able to see what terms are profitable for you and where you might want to increase spend. Number 3, you're able to actually see which search terms are wasting spend so you can pull back. And finally, number 4, of course, this allows you to make data-driven decisions without guessing. So getting your campaign structure right is obviously super duper important because if you don't have that right, it's hard to do really anything else going forward. But it really is just the beginning. So if you would like to learn more about how we recommend running PPC campaigns on Amazon, even if you're a beginner, you can actually check out the link in the description. We have a free PPC course. And actually, once you finish the course, we'll send out a certificate of completion that you can use on job applications or share with your boss, whatever that might be. It includes tests and a lot of really good information that I think is presented in a fun way. So check that out. Free PPC course at the link in the description. Thanks for watching. And if you found this helpful, please don't forget to subscribe. And you can also follow me personally on LinkedIn at Carly McMillen, where I talk all about Amazon and offer even more PPC related tips and just anything Amazon. Thanks for watching and check out my latest video here.